everybody. Welcome to Projectland Goes to the Movies, episode 5. We are live here on LinkedIn, and I am so darn excited. Put in the chat if you are new here for Projectland Goes to the Movies. Say, I'm new. Let us know where you are dialing in from today. And if you're not new, if you're back in Projectland with us, for Projectland Goes to the Movies, episode 5. If you've been at any of the other episodes or with us before, please let us know that too and say, I'm back. And let us know where you're dialing in from in the world. We love that. We love to know where you are. It's a lot of fun. We have an awesome lineup for you today. And before we get started, I want to bring up my co-host, my co-author, my co-editor, my friend, Jerry Manis. Hey, Jerry.
Thanks, Dawn. It's a rainy day in Philadelphia, but it's always sunny in Projectland.
That's right. And I'm dialing in from the Florida Keys again today. We have family in town, so it's a little bit of a zoo here when we got a 6-year-old wrecking ball running around, but she is out at the Turtle Hospital. So
wow,
gonna have a great day. So thanks for being my co-host again today. And we have been doing a lot of prep for this because it's the finale, and we are so excited. We had a record-breaking number of RSVPs for this. So if you are in the chat and you're with us on LinkedIn, in the comments, let us know where you're dialing in from. And don't worry if you missed any of the previous episodes. They are available on here, right on LinkedIn here, as well as on our PMOtraining YouTube channel, which is great news for anybody that needs PDUs like we do and would like to have fun getting the pro tips that you need to succeed in Projectland, as well as rack up those PDUs. So if you're here for the PDUs, go ahead and put PDU in the comments, and that's fine. We're happy you're here no matter what. And whether you've been here with us before in Projectland, you know, we are ready to have a great time learning together, sharing stories, and sharing those pro tips. So Jana also our behind the scenes team. So Jana is in my account, so you'll see things from me, but it's really Jana back there. So thank you, Jana, for joining us today. Could you please drop in the chat our all-in-one link to see, so if you can see where the book is at, if it's at your favorite bookstore. Now, one of our previous guests and co-authors, Dr. Mike Clayton in the UK, says it's available at Amazon and better bookstores. So you can see where it's available. If Jana, you could drop the books to read link in the chat. We have the ebook, we have the paperback, and coming soon, the audiobook to everywhere. But right now, it is now available on Audible. It just got dropped. So I'm super excited about that. You can earn, so we know that it takes 7.5 hours to read it straight through because Jerry and I listened to the audiobook for 7.5 hours and gave feedback on it. So that was a whole project in itself as well. So Jerry, the last time I Googled resource management books, yours was number 1.
It's probably the only.
Yeah, it's one of the only ones, but it definitely popped up first.
That's
and
great.
I know it's been used in universities and it's been applied inside corporations many times over to solve resource chaos issues. So if you are out there in Projectland and you've got resource management, capacity planning, workforce optimization, things that you're working on, stay tuned, because next month we're going to be live together, really diving into those sessions, and you'll be able to RSVP for that session as well. So that'll be July session, is going to be diving in with our global expert, the man who wrote the book on it, this guy, Jerry Manis. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And so with that, if you're new in Projectland, by the way, what is Projectland? This is a term that I coined by accident to help people understand that when you're working on a project, it really helps to realize that you're in a different world with different roles and rules than the day job. And that word has stuck, Projectland, and now is on the cover of 2 books, including Projectland Goes to the Movies, which we're going to dive in now. So Jerry, we were the co-editors. We were really the organizers behind all of this, and we each wrote chapters. So tell me how you're feeling now that we're at episode 5, the finale.
Yeah, I know it's hard to believe we're in the final episode. It's been 6 months, I think, since we started in January on the launch day, and then we've heard from a lot of our fellow co-authors and special guests, and we have another great lineup today, and looking forward to it.
Yes, we do, and we have a very special guest with us, and 5 of our co-authors. So I mentioned the audiobook really quickly, and I just want to let everybody know, if you're more of an audiobook lover, drop audiobook in the chat, in the comments, because some people really prefer audiobooks, and that's fine. And you are really in for a treat if you are interested in checking out our audiobook, because we also have a little contest running to celebrate episode 5, the finale, as well as the audiobook launch. I announced on my channel only on LinkedIn that a little social contest. And so we are going to determine the winners of the social contest, which is you can comment on my post, and or you can comment in the chat today live here and be eligible to win a copy. So people that are engaged today in the chat, as well as engage with my post, are eligible to win a copy of the audiobook on Audible, compliments from us. And so, Jerry, when we went through this whole editing process and we were listening to Eric narrate this book, did you have any favorite parts?
Yeah, I'll tell you, he did such a great job on the book, and I love the way he did some of the voices. One of my favorite parts, I think, had to be The Great Escape, because he did the whole scene. It was one of the chapters where we had a whole sort of a bit of a script laid out, and he read it, like the characters, which I thought was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember you reacting very specifically to The Great Escape. And today we're going to hear from the author of the chapter on The Great Escape too. So that should be a lot of fun. Yeah, mine, I really loved the Ghostbusters, what he did with Ghostbusters, because I just love that movie anyway, and also Jurassic Park. And so what we did was we worked on the audiobook trailer, kind of like a movie trailer, but for the book. And so you can, if you want to hear that audiobook trailer, we'd love your thoughts on it. Janet, if you could drop in the comments the link to our post, the one on my channel, with the trailer and the social contest announcement, so that everybody live here can check it out and gets a chance to enter and hear that audiobook trailer. It's only about 3 minutes. You can go ahead and do that, save that link to do after the show. Or do it, whenever works for you. So we're going to announce the winners on Friday, so you have a little bit of time for that. So that is a big deal, the audiobook. So speaking of movies, one of the things I want to share with y'all is, some of you heard this before, we have our very own IMDb movie list. Thanks to co-author Mike Schaefer, who said, hey, did you guys know you can put together your own IMDb movie list? So we did that in the order of the book. And you can also, I showed this on previous episodes, you can also check out the movie posters there, the log lines. You can resort it to see whose movies are the longest running time, which are the most popular according to IMDb, which ones are the oldest, like what the to newest or newest to oldest movies and their release dates. So our newest movie will be featured here today as well, which is The Fires. So that one that's on the list too. So Jana, if you could drop the IMDb movie list here. I know in the summertime, sometimes you need stuff to, do in the wintertime too with the IMDb movie list. So if you're looking for more movies, you love movies, if that's part of the reason you're here, then check out our list. It's totally free, and it will help you find the movies very easily that are in the book, and even in the order that they appear in the book. So starting with Moneyball and ending with Top Gun, who we're also going to hear from today. Okay. Are we ready to get today's finale party started? What do you think?
I think so.
All right, cool. All right. And so our special guest today is the host of the Project Management Podcast. He's been working as a project manager in Switzerland, in Germany, and the US since 1990, and received his PMP credential in April 2004, which is just a few months before me. So his PMP is older than mine. And his passions are agile project management methodologies and PMOs, as you can imagine. He's the president of OSP International LLC, a PMI registered education provider based in Silverado, California. And with their flagship product, the PM Prepcast, has been coaching project managers to prepare for their PMP exam since 2006. That's 20 years. He and his team have coached over 27,000 project managers on their way to becoming PMP certified. Wow. And recently he had Jerry and I back on his show twice, episodes 551 for the general public and 553 for his insiders, where we dove deeper into the lessons in the book and then our chapters specifically. We're honored to receive a quote from him for Projectland Goes to the Movies, which is featured in the front of the book. And here's what he said. I give it 6 out of 5 stars. It's a thrilling mix of Hollywood flair and project management genius. Projectland Goes to the Movies delivers a blockbuster performance, turning lessons from the big screen into practical insights that every project manager can actually use, even on the smallest project. Smart, funny, and highly insightful, this one is a rare sequel-worthy business book that proves managing a project can be just as epic as saving the galaxy or escaping a T-Rex. Come on up to the Projectland stage, the one, the only, Cornelius Fichtner. Hey, Cornelius.
Oh, hello. I'm reading a book right now. I apologize. It says here, I have a bad feeling about this. I wonder who wrote that. Jerry's chapter here in the book. Hello, everybody.
Hi there. Thanks for joining us. So nice to have you.
I have a good feeling about this.
Here, yes. Yes. Thanks for joining us this time on our show. We appreciate you taking the time out. So we love that quote, 6 out of 5 stars. And thank you so much for your enthusiasm around Projectland Goes to the Movies. So why do you think this collection of advice has to offer project managers specifically, or project people in general?
Well, I think this collection offers a different way to look at familiar project situations. I don't think it's a book about movies, to be honest. It's a book about a project behavior and how people act inside the projects. But the movies, they make it a lot more memorable. We see pressure, we see bad assumptions, team trust, stakeholder resistance, you name it, leadership judgment, and sometimes even the odd, how on earth is this project still alive, right? And all wrapped in stories, all wrapped in movies. And in the first interview that we did together, Jerry said, stories stick a lot better than facts, and it's true for project managers specifically. These movie moments, they become little vignettes. When your plan goes bust, you think about The Martian and the chapter and what you read there. When you realize that, oh my God, my stakeholders are completely misaligned, you remember the 12 Angry Men. And when you're in a project meeting and somebody is just sort of smiling, but you can tell, oh my God, they're sharpening their knives. That brings out the Italian job to me, right? Oh, sharpening their knives. The Knives Out might have been another good movie you could have had. Yeah. So yes, it's the stories that count from my perspective. And in particular, I looked this up yesterday, Pinbock Guide 8th edition, page 201, 202, officially. Storytelling is now a technique in the Pinbock Guide. So there you go. Yeah. So that's what I think your book brings to the table. You're not thinking back to, oh my God, what was it 8 years ago when I took that course on X. What did they say again? No, you think about that chapter in the book that you read, because it's a story. It's much more memorable. That's what it brings to the table.
Yeah, 100%. And Jerry, you were certainly a big force in teaching me how to tell stories better and how to help our authors tell the stories that they want to tell about their lives in Projectland and so forth. I mean, you have a whole course on storytelling.
Right. And it was great seeing the different author perspectives and their own stories too. So, with the chapter, not only stories from the movies, but then how it replicated in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that part of it because it makes it a really fast, easy, fun read too. It's not dry. It's not boring. It's stories. It's beautiful. Yeah, all the authors did such a great job with that. So was there a lesson in the book that surprised you, Cornelius, as you were going through it at all?
Yes. I think what surprised me most is the fact that the biggest lesson was not about the blockbuster movie, the big action scene, but instead it was the quiet moments, the slow moments. You'll expect the obvious, right? Again, Apollo 13, The Martian, Jurassic Park. I mean, those are practically projects wrapped in a movie, right? Plans go awry, people need to make decisions under pressure, everything needs to change because your risks have updated. And so, yeah, we talked about this clearly in our interview as well, and around The Martian and the idea that when conditions change, you need to ask yourself, is this still the right thing to do? So yes, the big blockbuster scenes, they're there and they do give you a lesson, but the most surprising lessons are really the quieter ones. For example, John, in your chapter, The Italian Job, this is not just about a heist. This is about trust. This is about hidden motives, team pressures, the fact that people can become the project risk, right? So you write about the importance about who might want my project to fail, and how do I recognize these people? So that was really the biggest takeaway for me. The risk register, yes, it includes the technical risk, the schedule risk, and all of the normal risks that are in there. But in the end, all those risks, maybe they didn't start as project risks, but they started as people risks. And if you don't read those signals, or if you just, explain them away, then yeah, they will become loud and big and obnoxious, but they start very quiet in the beginning. Yeah.
And that's a great point. I think people, the movies and projects are really all about people.
Yeah,
indeed.
And I love what you said about the quiet moments, because there were when you said that, it really resonated with me, and kind of the Rolodex going back on all of the chapters, and many of the lessons were truly in introspection for the authors and what really happens in real life. So thank you for that insight. That's beautiful. So if you were to write a chapter based on a movie, what would the movie and lesson be?
Yeah, you asked me the same question in our interview that we did, and my answer is the same. I haven't changed. I thought about this. I thought about this. So there are two, one that nobody knows and one that everybody knows. The one that nobody knows, that is called Joe versus Volcano. Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. Tom Hanks gets diagnosed with a brain cloud and then agrees to jump into a volcano. And throughout the whole movie, nobody's like, a brain what? Do you really think this is a good idea? So this kind of having a project keep going and going and going, although everybody kind of goes, wait, this is not right, and nobody speaks up. So that was one idea. And then the other one was Groundhog Day, simply because it's a repeating kind of a situation, which is exactly the opposite of what projects are all about. Projects do not repeat in the same way that every single day in that movie turned out to be the same way. You come to the office in the morning, you have a plan, 5 minutes later, that plan is out the window, you have to adjust. So to me, those are the two stories, the two project stories in those movies that I have. And did you leave a comment recently on my LinkedIn saying that you really hate the Groundhog Day because of exactly that?
Exactly that. Yeah. Like I thought when you're on the like third time in the movie where it's the same day over again, I'm like, are we really gonna watch this whole movie? Is this how it's gonna be? Like, I got things to do. But a lot of people love Groundhog Day. I just get bored easily, Cornelius.
When it comes on television, I cannot. I have to finish watching it. It's kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody when it comes on in the radio. You can't. You can't switch the channel. Yeah.
I'm with you there. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. I love the Joe versus the volcano one. That one hasn't come up yet, which is super cool. So with that, would you join us in welcoming our next guest? Jerry, you want to take it first?
Sure. Haukur, Cornelius, and Cornelius meet Haukur. I'll share with everyone that Haukur has been a gracious host to my family and me in Iceland several times now. I've presented to his students. I've been a guest on his podcast, so now we get to do it the other way around. So Haukur, I guess to start with, what drew you to want to participate in
Jerry?
This? Yeah.
So I know this is live.
Oh, right. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and we might have skipped through it. So,
and I'm not seeing the screen. So.
Oh, you're not. Okay, so I will help you do the honors here.
Okay. Thank you.
Our next guest is the professor and director of the Advanced Master of Project Management program at Reykjavik University. He's a certified Stanford project manager. He's the co-author of multiple books on leadership, communication, project management, and strategy, and co-authored the International Project Management Association's Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. You know, that one we have to sign. Beyond academia, he is also a mountaineer and member of Iceland's Search and Rescue Association, where decades in crisis and conflict management have shaped his philosophy of leading with both, I love this, a warm heart and a cold mind. So let's welcome up to the stage, everyone, Dr. Haukur. And you're going to have to, while I bring him up, go ahead, Jerry, and do the drum roll. And
I can see my screen now, which is good.
Hi, good to see you all. Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Hello, Haukur. Nice to meet you.
Yes, great to meet you too. Have you met before, Cornelius?
We have not. No, I've heard of you, obviously, because of this.
Right.
You wrote about the fires, right?
That's right, yes.
Yes, and there is a story behind the fires that I learned about because it's very personal to you, that movie, right?
It is, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to leave that to Don and Jerry to bring up. I'm pretty sure that's going to come up, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
it runs the master's program in project management in Iceland and has written a number of books himself.
And I used to go to Switzerland all the time to the IPMA expert seminar in Zurich.
Right.
Yeah, that was like, then they kind of canceled it. But I have many good friends in Switzerland. But I see you're located in California, right?
I'm now in Arizona. But yes, Arizona, originally born and grown up in Switzerland, yes. But haven't been there in a while.
Uh-huh.
Someplace I definitely want to go to. So, Cornelius, I want to thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Bye-bye.
a great rest
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Great. So, of course, since I already gave the brief intro, I couldn't see my screen.
Hold on a second.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you guys great. Haukur, you're good. I can hear you.
I can hear you, but you, I lost you a little bit, but it's you're back. Good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to disappear, and Jerry's going to take over.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
So I'll repeat the first question I asked earlier when you weren't on the screen. What drew you to participate in this particular book, besides the fact that I practically begged you?
I mean, that was the main reason, but I found the theme very interesting and the take to bring insights from the movies. In my teachings at the Advanced Masters of Project Management program at Reykjavik University, I've used movies for many, many years in my project management. Like there's a course called Advanced Project Leadership. I use a movie called it's Touching the Void. It's kind of introspective, where I'm kind of trying to make the upcoming project leaders aware of the inner world, things that might kind of stand in their ways if they are not well integrated personally. And in a course on team dynamics, I have used 12 Angry Men for many, many years.
Yeah.
And those two movies are fantastic for self-reflection and us to understand kind of some very important psychological aspects of project management.
Yeah, I know we've talked for years about how movies and project management, how it's a great way to learn, and even the behind the scenes of making the movies too. I know we talked about that for a while.
Yeah,
I know you have a fascinating story to share about why you chose The Fires in particular, both for its lessons and a personal connection. So first, I thought it'd be good to talk about your personal connection to the movie, because I thought that was very unique.
Yeah, well, the movie it's an Icelandic movie. It's shot in Iceland. I'm Icelandic. I'm located in Reykjavik. The director is my daughter, my dear daughter, who just gave me a grandson 5 months ago. So she's the director, and the movie is based on an Icelandic book, and it's very kind of it's personal because we have been going through a period of volcanic eruptions not so far away from the city, and I, as a rescue team member, I've been going out there to help out as much as I could. But yeah, it's the first feature movie of my daughter. She is a pretty prominent director. She directed the Snowfall in California. Hannah was another TV series she made. The Power, fantastic series that everyone should take a look at and keep. Don't give up. It gets really sophisticated. And now she's in London. She's directing 3 episodes in Alien Earth.
Yeah, and she did last season of Alien Earth. I know her episodes were definitely hailed as great episodes. So. Yeah, it was great. And I was glad I got the chance to meet her in Iceland too. Plus, The Fires won 6, I guess, the Icelandic equivalent of the Oscars. So won 6. What Eddie Awards is called?
Yeah, ETA Awards. Yeah.
Oh, ETA. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. You won 6 awards. Now it's interesting that we were talking about The Fires. The Fires has a backdrop of a big adventurous disaster movie with volcanoes erupting, but like you were mentioning, at its heart, it's really like a love story and a leadership story with a moral dilemma for the volcanologist. I compare it to like Gone with the Wind isn't a war movie, though it's set against the American Civil War. But so with this in mind, for each chapter we have a one-line hot take, and for yours, I have it right here. It says in The Fires, the most dangerous eruption isn't geological; it's inside the leader. The clash between personal vulnerability and the illusion of objectivity. So is the idea that there's no such thing really as pure objectivity for a leader, that leaders always have to check and consider their biases? Is that's the key point?
Yeah, that's the message. I mean, this is a big philosophical, psychological question. Even what about objectivity, and how does objectivity resonate with subjectivity, kind of thing? But I think the main message is this: when people join your team, or when you join a project team, we are not just bringing in our expertise, we are bringing ourselves in also with everything that is in that that includes everything who we are. And
Right.
if things are not aligned or not integrated, or there might be some psychological issues, it can really put the mission in danger, it can really interrupt what we are trying to do in our projects, right? And
Right.
I think the movie is an excellent example of that. The movie is about a geologist that is kind of the team leader of the governmental response to the whole catastrophe that is happening and is about to happen. But at the same time, her personal life gets rather complicated, and it's difficult to. I mean, what comes first? Under pressure, people might act out, right? And vice versa, kind of a thing. If there might be something going on in personal life, and that might kind of filter into the work you're trying to do, and have an impact.
Right. And I know there's an advisory board scene, and you illustrate that in the book, and that perfectly gives a perfect example of it. Where is this lesson? Has this shown up at all in your version of Projectland, or what you've seen either in your own life or with students?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because of my background, I have a PhD in psychiatry and religion. I'm a trained psychotherapist, and so I'm usually called in when something of this sort is going on, and things are kind of getting out of hand. I've seen it all the time, and sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's like right in the open, sometimes it's kind of intertwined with some let's say organizational politics or some other things, but when it boils down to it, there is something personal that is sometimes needs to be attended to in order to be able to do the work, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Right. And you were a safety consultant on the movie, and you had a small role in it. I guess it may have come into play there too, with some
yeah. I mean,
hazardous situations.
I hope you will all see the movie one day, because I kind of dwarf Clint Eastwood in there's a close-up on my face, and my daughter said, I want you to do it because I just need a face that is, she's kind of stepping out of a car accident, and she's in agony. She's running, and she meets a rescue team member, and she just wanted to portray a person that you can instantly trust somehow. And she chose to, and
she got the right person.
She got the right person.
That's great. I can't wait till the movie's available here.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a Clint Eastwood close-up. I'm not smiling. I'm not supposed to say nothing, and it's kind of quite an impact to get a full-fledged actress in agony coming to asking for help, and you cannot do nothing. I actually suggested that I would
you didn't say, do you feel lucky?
No. I suggested that I would hold a cigarette and say, go ahead, make my day, right?
Right.
But it was really interesting also to see how they do it and how organized everything was. They did shoot the movie in 26 days. And the budget was like
that's amazing.
I don't know, like a small percentage of what she has in one episode of Alien Earth to work with,
Yeah, and it looks like a big budget movie. Dawn, do I have time for one more question? I know we're
Yes, go for it.
Okay, great. Haukur, I know you created a model called FIRES. It's an acronym to address these situations, and it talks about framing the facts first and identifying emotional drivers and so on. In the interest of time, I won't get into the whole thing here. I encourage everyone to pick up the book. But meanwhile, one last question: was there another chapter in the book that especially resonated with you? And if so, what about it resonated?
Yeah, I mean, I found the whole book to be very interesting read, and it gave me new ideas to play with in my courses. Very insightful, all of it, and you can you sense the experience of those people. But 12 Angry Men, I thought it was well done, and it's funny. So let's go from 12 to 13. Apollo 13 is because I'm a professor in the School of Engineering, and it's fascinating how engineers tackle problems. They try to simplify everything. They try to, and Apollo 13 and the sponsorship. It's a fascinating movie on sponsorship, kind of. There's one person, and I see this all the time in the ER and in the rescue services. The leader that doesn't give up. No, we are not. No, this person is not gonna die. We are not gonna give up on this against all odds, and they save the person. That's kind of the life of others kind of a situation. Do you know that movie? The Stasi guy who's listening in on the people in the apartment, but he fakes all the records to protect them. And in the end of the movie, it's a spoiler, but I'm gonna say it anyways. The man is in a shop or something, and something happens. He sees another person after the wall is gone down, and he recognized, this is the person that saved my life. That kind of thing.
Something I have to see.
Yeah, I think that in Apollo 13, that's also a theme. This one guy that doesn't give up on the mission, on Earth.
And that's what I like, is each chapter has such unique lessons, and that's what we try to do when we assembled everybody. We try not to have the same lessons more than once, which was great.
And also your chapter, Jerry, I mean, you're my friend, dear friend, so I have to mention that too. Fantastic chapter. the gentle giant you are. Wonderful friend. Wonderful to have you around. Thank you for all your contribution up here. Right. I have a suggestion. I think you should all come here and we should have an interesting conference on this topic in Iceland.
I would be game for that.
So in the comments, if you would come to Iceland to meet a bunch of us authors, and authors, if you would want to come to Iceland, say, I'm in. So go ahead and drop in the comments and let's see what kind of reaction we get. I would love to come to Iceland and see you and meet you in person, Haukur. The actor, the author, the professor, the now new grandpa. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So Haukur, would you like to stay on and meet our next guest? All right.
I lost.
Can you hear?
I lost your sound. I don't know what happens, but I can hear.
Jerry, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Because actually, what happened a minute ago is my power went out. You gotta love the tropics. So
I had some technical issues before too. That's why I couldn't see my screen. I was like, well, where are we?
It's live. Okay. Forgive us. Okay, so here we go. Our next guest.
I hope it was positive, something that. But I didn't hear you, Dawn.
You're good. Hang on tight, because we're going to introduce our next guest, and she wants to meet you. So hold on. So our next guest is the founder of Unboxed Insights, where she provides fractional and interim leadership with over 2 decades of senior leadership experience across SaaS, that's software as a service, fintech, payroll, and global service delivery. She has built and led a high-performing PMO service delivery and transformation teams across 3 continents. Passionate about emerging technology and AI, she is also a seasoned speaker and advisor known for weaving stories of resilience and transformation, including, and I am amazed by this, completing the Clipper Round the World Yacht Race with no sailing experience and returning a circumnavigator. Please give everyone a warm Projectland welcome to Rosalind Guy.
Yes,
welcome.
yeah.
Rosalind Haukur, Rosalind.
Yeah. Nice to see you, Rosalind.
Nice to see you. I'm amazed that you used in the book a brand new movie that wasn't even out when we were getting ready to launch. So I think it's incredible. So, but yeah, I've never been to Iceland. It's on my bucket list, but not been there yet.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, you're welcome anytime. And if anyone wants to come here, please hook up with me, and then you can maybe give a talk or something at the university. I mean, I have the venue, I have the audience, so we have a podcast also. So please.
Beautiful. Well, we will connect the authors that are in with you, Haukur. And thank you so much for joining us and for being part of our Labor of Love book. We'll sign you off to have the rest of your evening. Thanks for joining us. Let's give Dr. Haukur a warm thank you and sign off, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Rosalind. So thank you for hanging with us there. And yeah, his movie, you're absolutely right, was coming out as we were putting the book together. So we had to do some final editing, and his daughter, the director, had to double check her dad's work because some of it ended up on the editing floor.
Yeah,
make sure it was like, but it was so good we had to include it. So thank you for mentioning that. That was awesome. So why did you respond to our author casting call?
My answer is always why not. And I did the same when I did the sailing, by the way. But also, just before I went sailing, I finished my degree, which was partly to do with creative writing. So why not put that to use?
Nice, perfect. And so you chose a movie we hadn't heard of, right, Jerry?
Right, yeah. And I was shocked because I thought I saw every Kirk Douglas movie there was, but I heard the title. I will say that.
Yeah, I hadn't known about it, and I thought it was a wonderful, epic film. So why did you choose it?
I chose it because it's the film that I grew up with my grandfather deciding that we should always watch it every year that it came out. It's one of those Easter movies that would come out. And so, but then as growing up, I thought it was all about horses, because if you look at it, it's very different. But it's actually a coming of age film. And that is so apt when you think about the dynamics of what happens in a project. They always come of age, whether they come of age well or whether they disappear into the abyss.
Yeah, absolutely. And so why don't you tell us about your version and the lesson from that movie? But I want to share what you wrote in the book, what we call the hot take. So for everyone's sake, for every single chapter, we have a hot take to make sure that you're very clear on what is the lesson that the author is trying to get through. And so Rosalind's hot take was, the right mentor can make all the difference in navigating tough terrain, opposing cultures, and mighty egos. So tell us about that.
Well, I think that's really important because everyone would assume that when I'm writing about the film, that I'm actually talking about the title role, and that mentor is not the title role. Right. So the title role, for particularly those who are from Australia, will know all about The Man from Snow River and Clancy, etc. But because they're poems, but it's just that there's such a cool-headed person who comes in and is able to cut through what is going on. And when you're sitting in a SaaS provider, a software as a service provider, and you're doing the service delivery of that project to a customer, it's really interesting for the project managers inside the vendor to understand they're not the start of the project. The project started somewhere else. So although you're trying to put upon the client your way of working, the customer thinks they can put their way of working on you. And it's an interesting dynamic that then happens. So yeah, I think from that perspective, it's really quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, the vendor side, we were so surprised and delighted when your pitch came through for this to bring the vendor side of a project to the book, because you're right, like most people don't talk about this, that there's the client side and the vendor provider side, and that we have to work together as a team, but there are often opposing views, opposing cultures, opposing goals, and so forth. So I have found your chapter personally helpful and insightful in a reasoned situation also. So I hope everybody gets a chance to read it.
And it's like two projects that converge.
Yes.
And sometimes clash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always quite challenging with the fact that when I say that a client may try and put upon the project manager and the team their way of thinking, it's not just about the project. It's also about, I don't like the project manager, or I want the team changed. And inside the team, the project manager has to consider all of the options, and those are the things that I write about, of how the project manager needs to walk the path. And even though they can be very seasoned as a project manager, sometimes they have to defer to someone else in order that they say what is happening, so that they can be supported in order to turn the corner with the client. Yeah, and you mentioned a particular story in the book about this. That was a challenge. Can you tell us more about that? Yeah, so I had one of the project managers in my team was working with a client, a very large global client in a particular industry, which we won't mention. And they came on board and they were trying to tell us when the project needed to go live. They were delaying it. And as a vendor, you look in the contract, you know all the contractual pieces that are going on. It's not the same as when you're delivering internally for a project. So the client was trying to push it. They were trying to say, well, I'm the project manager. Well, who's your sponsor? Well, I'm the sponsor. Okay, you can't really be both, but okay. So it's an interesting dynamic that you often get. And also you'll often see the client's project teams will be doing their work alongside the day job. And even if you've said that you need X percentage of your working week assigned to the project, they won't be. But the project manager that I was managing came to me and said, I know what to do, but I'm not the right voice. How do I say it? And what do I do? So as I explain in the book, I say, right, go away. You come back and tell me all the problems. Tell me what all the solutions are that we can offer. I'll speak to the client, project manager, sponsor, find out what they're looking to achieve, which either they will tell you a long shopping list, which includes you giving them some financial recompense. And sometimes they will just say, oh, there's nothing wrong. They'll suddenly go very quiet. So you never know what you're going to be there. And then we just present what the better option is. And it could be where the project manager has opted that they're not the right project manager for that client, because maybe they're not used to that industry, because maybe it's the financial industry as opposed to gaming or banking or manufacturing. All require slightly different skills. Mm-hmm. But luckily, all it needed was me to just support the project manager for 3 meetings. That was all for them to actually get on board. So sometimes it's time more and listening more than actually doing. Nice. Yeah, it's the people side. Once again, it just strikes again, doesn't it? The way that people behave and, not giving people what they need, the support that they need to succeed. On the client side too, they have their day jobs as well. It's a big challenge for all of us who are trying to make things better in project land. Yeah. So last question for you. Was there another chapter in the book that resonated with you? Oh, I love this when you asked me to look this one up and check. And I instantly went, I know it is. I just need to check the chapter. So I'm just looking at it here now. And it's the one that's called I'm Making This Up As I Go. Yeah, the Raiders of the Lost Ark chapter by Mike Schaefer. Yeah. that one is, for me, my early project management career was all about project rescue. So for me, every time you stepped in, you didn't know what you were stepping into, whether it was quicksand or whether there was firm rock underneath you or not. So for me, you were making it up as you go along. And also as a project manager, how often do we think we're starting the day and we know what we're going to do, and yet that wasn't what we did that day?
Yeah, just like Cornelius started us off with today. That's absolutely true. Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm making it up as I go. So next up, would you like to join us, Rosalind, and bringing our next guest up to the
Yes, that would be
stage?
great.
Great. Jerry, you want to take it over?
Sure. Our next author is a senior project manager, consultant, author, and trainer with more than 40 years of professional experience. Throughout his career with organizations such as Tandem Computers, IBM, and HP, he's delivered over 200 client-facing professional service engagements focused on complex programs, transformations, and organizational change. He's also the founder of Lessons from History, a consultancy, and that's near and dear to my heart, that helps organizations apply lessons from the past to today's business challenges, and the author of multiple books exploring innovation, transformation, and project management through historical case studies. Like I know there's one on Churchill and the Titanic, and I've read them all and love them. So welcome to the Projectland stage, Dr. Mark Kozak-Holland.
Mark, hello.
Hi. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Rosalind, Mark, Rosalind.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Rosalin. That was great. That really enjoyed it.
Yeah, she's brilliant, isn't she? And also a circumnavigator. So maybe she can make her way to Iceland and then over to you in Canada.
Right.
I've not been on a sailboat since.
I bet. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rosalind. We appreciate you and the man from Snowy River. Have a great rest of your evening there in the UK. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yes. Hey, Mark. I remember we did a number of speaking engagements when you were talking about Churchill and the Titanic, and you invited me to write a book on the Roman Empire for your Lessons from History series. So thanks. And usually our first question is about why you answered the author casting call for this book. In this case, I specifically invited you because you wrote a whole book on this movie. So instead, I'll ask, why did you choose The Great Escape as a source for project management lessons?
Yeah, well, after the two previous projects, which were the Titanic and Churchill, we were looking for another example, and the starting point was really with criteria. We laid these criteria out saying, where have we seen a project that's been successful where it was deemed impossible from the start? And it took a long time to zero in on The Great Escape. It took about a year, maybe over a year, because we basically said, what situation would you have where you have no stakeholders, no resources, you're under pressure, you've got all these negative factors and forces working against you. And then it just sort of dawned, well, maybe it's something to do with incarceration. And it just led from there. And the movie did actually influence the selection because it's such a powerful film. And it's based on a true story. The movie's fictional to a point, but it is based on a true story. And once that kind of, the light bulb went on, it was like, oh my God, yeah, this has got to be the one, right? It really, there was no other, there was no other project that we could find that really fitted the criteria as well as it did.
Yeah, having read your book, it's such a great example, and plus the example in our book. Now, speaking of which, there's so many great moments in that movie, and all of which you've written about. Tell us about the one that you chose to highlight for our book. Specifically, I'll mention the hot take here. It was projects can be under pressure from day one, scrutinized, questioned, and targeted for early shutdown. Set your project up for success with an outstanding kickoff meeting and extensive planning. So, yeah, I'd love to hear why you chose that particular one, which I thought was a great one over all the others in that film.
Well, that kind of manifested itself a number of years afterwards, because what I was doing was I was running sort of full day workshops on the whole project itself. And there was always, after the workshop, there was a dialogue that was going on about the kickoff meeting, because the kickoff meeting in the movie is really where Roger Bushell pulls everyone together and runs through what the project is about and how they're going to do it. And it's just how short the meeting actually is. It's 3 minutes, and it's his command, his presence, and just the way everyone is just tuned in into what needs to be done. It's like as if we've got this massive marathon in front of us, and we're not going to mess around, spending enormous times of planning and we're just going to get on with it. And this is how we're going to do it. And people just said to me, like the participants of the workshop said, if we could get our kickoff meetings down to literally, 3 minutes, it would be insane. It would just add so much value, because you just start working on the project itself, and I think it just resonated. It sort of set the tone for everything that how they could be so successful, because the level of competence was so high coming into this, knowing the problem and knowing what the solution was going to be.
Yeah, and it's just incredible how much was covered in those 3 minutes. It was just great, and plus the camaraderie they had, and the trust they had for one. I mean, you have to have trust with all the things that they went over.
That's right. Yeah, just a real common understanding of the problem and the solution. That's where it kept coming back to.
Yeah, and yet in the end, I think you had a take on it that in the end there were failures in the project, although it had a great kickoff meeting, and it was just a brilliant kickoff. But just goes to show you can get one thing great and then miss on other things.
Yeah, well, one of the questions that we always had at the end of the workshop, and these were large workshops with 50 to 100 plus seasoned PMs, PMPs. One of the questions was, was this a successful project? And how successful was Roger Bushell? And the forum is deemed to be a great success because 76 prisoners got out, but there was an execution, and 50 of those prisoners were executed. And the bottom line is when you look at it, now this is where it really gets interesting. It goes back to the whole essence of this Projectland's book. When you start looking at things through a project management lens, you start to see things differently. And the question that was thrown out of the workshop was Roger Bushell, the leader, a great project manager? And the answer was no. He may have had a brilliant kickoff and he may have managed the project absolutely superbly, but he failed at the end point. He wasn't there for the implementation. He was one of the first 5 that got out, escaping. So there was no one to manage that implementation, and the implementation went so badly wrong that it really was the premise for the executions and so on and so on. So there's great value in looking at things through these different lenses, and I think that's the key thing that this Projectland brings to is that we're looking at these movies, but we're looking at them through a project management lens, and we're seeing them in a much different perspective, and we're pulling the lessons into our worlds, as they are. So yeah, that was very interesting.
You really pull in what went right and what went wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you mentioned it's based on a true story. I think you told me you can actually visit the site.
Yeah, you can. This is actually quite important. You can visit Zagan, which is only 100 kilometers away from Berlin. It's in Poland, and they've restored the huts, and you can see really they've gone to a lot of lengths to highlight the whole story of the Great Escape, because it's such a prominent event in history, and because of the movie. So it's really worthwhile taking a look.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like something well worth seeing. I didn't realize. I've seen the movie so many times. I didn't realize it was a place you could actually visit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Now that you've had a chance to explore the rest of the book beyond the chapter you wrote, was there anything in particular that resonated about the book as a whole?
Well, just what I said there earlier about you've got this group of PMs that you've pulled together, and they're looking at things through this project management lens, and I think it adds tremendous values to solving problems. Because we I mean, when I was being interviewed by these historians about The Great Escape, they were shocked when I said, "Well, our opinion is that Roger Bushell wasn't a brilliant project manager." And he goes, "Well, what do you mean? He's a hero. He's the greatest man alive." I go, "No, he made mistakes, and these are the mistakes, and those mistakes were overlooked because people don't look through the lens that we're looking at." So I think that's the most important thing. There's so many great movies, but it's the interpretations. It's like the next author right now, Rosalind Walcott. She's just done such a fantastic job in reinterpreting, that whole event, in '85 with We Are the World and so on. It's just unbelievable the way she's been able to pull that together. But again, she's looking at it through a project management lens, and I think that's the key value that this book adds, and also what we've done as a collective. So
yeah, and I think you mentioned about it would be useful to have people's project management expertise brought in for different situations to look at it through that lens, and I think that
exactly yeah
great. You want to stick around for a minute while we welcome our next co-author, and the one you just mentioned? So Dawn, over to you.
Hey, thanks. And I just want to show, I'm going to try to remove it, but Mark, you have to see this. So you see this picture? You guys seeing this on the screen?
Oh.
You see this picture of this guy circled here? So Mark, I didn't want to hear it. Jerry's friend. So that's Jerry at the Live Aid concert. He ended up in the book. So yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure you saw that.
And that circle's from a friend who sent me the book, and he circled it. He said, "You're in the book."
And now I have to figure out how to get rid of that.
You want to stare at that the rest of the
Yeah, we might have to. So let's see. Okay. Does it disappear? Does it? Oh, see, look, we got all kinds of stuff happening. This is live TV, everybody. Okay, let's see. Image file. Let's get this back. Okay, so at least we're at episode 5 now. So sorry about that. Okay, we've got 2 more guests to go, everybody. And Mark, thanks for giving Rosalind such a beautiful shout out. Our next guest is the founder of consulting company and Tethered Hearts Collective, a solution-driven project manager specializing in legal and environmental services. She coordinates multi-million-dollar transactions across the U.S. while also advocating for youth through her transformative community work. A dynamic speaker and recipient of the 2023 Women of Project Management Community Impact Award, she is passionate about empowerment, program building, and creating meaningful impact through leadership and service. Let's everyone welcome to the Projectland stage, Rosalind Walcott, who just got her PMP.
Yes. Hi. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Rosalind.
Hello, Dr. Mark.
Hey.
So nice to meet you. Thank you for those wonderful words. I really appreciate it. Yes. I loved your chapter, by the way. Everybody, I've just been like going through the different chapters, but yeah, that focus on like a good kickoff being like the importance of what brings a can-do spirit to the team. That definitely resonated with me and definitely connects to what I wrote about. So yeah, we've got some overlap there.
Mark is the master at drawing great project management lessons from history. So.
Very good.
Oh, you are, Jerry. You are.
Well, and we have some more recent history to talk about with Rosalind. So for now, Mark, thank you so much for being part of our book.
Thank you
for being here today. We appreciate you signing you off. Have a great one in Canada.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye for now. Hey, Rosalind.
Hello, Don. Hello, Jerry.
Hey, Rosalind.
So Rosalind, why did you respond to our author casting call?
Oh man, I feel like I manifested it in a way. As just a writer in my head, I'm like, I hadn't written for a while and I wanted to get back into it and I wanted to be published. And lo and behold, on LinkedIn, this, call to action pops up and I just kind of look around like, no way, it can't be this simple. And I was super nervous about it. But as Rosalind with the D said, it's like, why not? An opportunity knocks, you open the door. And I was like, let's give it a try. So yeah, I pitched, and here we are.
And here we are, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you got over, your nervousness to pitch this, and it's hard to do. So I want to definitely acknowledge your courage in doing that and recognizing that, hey, this is something I wanted, and here's an opportunity. So why not? And so you did a post, I think, about this, right? Is that why you chose Greatest Night in Pop?
Yes. Well, it runs the gamut. So I grew up watching it. So I grew up with the song and watching the video, and as a child, Michael Jackson. So I just remember it being so big, and it was one of the first things or first examples of people coming together and doing something so large. I just remember the impact and watching the video, which the documentary is about them like creating and shooting the music video. So watching them come together to get aid to Ethiopia and raise money, I thought that was, as a child, I felt it was powerful. And then oddly enough, again, manifestation, I love how things just kind of like line up so well. Yes, I had gotten my project management. I finished the Google certification and was just on my journey of getting my project management certification and all of that, and just learning and implementing everything. And I watched the movie while that was happening, and I had been in practice of using it and applying it to everything. And while I was watching it, I just remember just screaming at the TV and laughing and all the things. And I picked up my phone and I did a post about like the relation of project management to this movie. And then I think a few months later, LinkedIn came up and was like, your call to action. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is easy. And I thought, I was like, oh no, what if, I didn't know if the movie would fit because I thought it was too on the nail. But then come to find out, I think I'm the only actual documentary in the book. So yeah.
Plus it deals with herding cats.
Really big diva cats. So Rosalin, who we just saw a little earlier, she said, there are a few movies that we've used that are based on real life events, but that's right. Yours is the true documentary where they filmed it. They filmed that, so you can see the Greatest Night in Pop the night of the filming with all the divas and everything and all the drama. And it is brilliant. In fact, so to edit the chapters, we watched, Jerry and I both, separately and apart together, watch the movies. And I also never do this, but there's a post of like my feet and the TV and the dog, whatever, and watching Lionel Richie on the screen talk about the behind the scenes stuff that was going on. It was just really, the whole thing is a fantastic case study. So now your hot take is transformational leaders who employ people first. We've been talking a lot about that today. People first change enablement strategies can even keep divas focused on achieving desired outcomes under tight timelines. So what is that? We talk a lot about change management, scope change management, people change management, blah, blah, blah. What do you mean? What do you think of as like normal change management versus this change enablement idea?
Yes. So for me, the operative word, the important word is you have change management. So management, you're either managing things versus people first, change enablement versus enabling things. So when I think of, or when we have change management, it tends to be hierarchical in style. The intent is more like risk avoidant or resistant. It's, you're waiting for someone else to tell you what to do. And the focus is like just process or a set process. And with people first, change enablement, it's more team oriented and adaptive. There's more flexible response time. Basically, not just the actual like definition difference is important, but also like what that sets you up for. So it's really it really changes how a project team views change. Because if you're seeing change happening and you are more change management, again, you're more waiting for someone to tell you what to do. And when you're enabled, you're empowered. And so the team itself has more information, more focus, and they're much ready to understand that risk will happen, and they're more efficient in moving and changing with it. So I kind of think of like herding a sheep instead, like change management is the spaniels, cocker spaniels running and herding the sheep. But if you can prep the sheep in a way, or they're not sheep anymore, they're actual people first, they can be more agile in a way where they can actually kind of herd themselves or figure out themselves with still the guidance of folks around them. So
contribute, be part of the solution. So tell us how this shows up in the movie as an example.
Oh my gosh. I love this movie so much. So in the scope creep, the premise is basically creating this song for Live Aid to raise money for folks in Ethiopia that are dealing with starvation at the time. And actually, it's still making money to this day. Yes. But as they are getting together and they're making it, and it kind of speaks to what Dr. Mark was talking about. The kickoff is very important, but what really happens is midway through, Stevie Wonder decides to add his little piece to it, and basically he is the scope creep. And they almost go off the rails, but because the kickoff was so powerful and so informative, and it followed change enablement versus change management. So when they all came into the room and they're all talking with each other and really starstruck to see each other, Bob Geldof, who had done the first Live Aid song for Christmas prior to, he came and did the kickoff, and he spoke to them in a way where he was very transparent on why they were there and what they were there for, the importance of it, and that enabled and empowered them, and they settled together and they understood exactly why they were there. And so understanding that change was going to happen, especially with all the divas and everyone, when everyone kind of gotten off the track, Bob Geldof appeared again, and it was so quick and so easy to bring them back because they were enabled. So he let them know, I think Stevie Wonder was trying to add Swahili. Wonder was trying to add Swahili to the song. Everyone started to have an opinion, which, as we know, what happens with that, if project management, we're all subject matter experts, and they brought them back and decided what to use. Come to find out, Swahili wasn't the language in Ethiopia, so that was a nice, quick resolution. And he let them know, like, where focus is not on the actual people and the language. Our focus is on the people that are going to give them money. So let's us keep it that way, get us back on track. And everyone very quickly got back into line. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. They needed to finish the song. They needed to finish the video, and they met their deadline, which was not even just creating this beautiful song and raising money, but creating transformational change, which is actually changing the world.
Yeah. I mean, for people.
Food. About the goal alignment. That was chapter. I thought a brilliant example of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even Jerry helped change the world. With
your presence.
With his presence.
I remember it was a hot day, and they hosed us all down, and all my sandwiches ended up soggy, but that's what I remember.
Worth it. Yeah. So
that is amazing, Jerry. That is so amazing.
It was fun though.
Yeah, I've seen the actual book. It's real. I mean, I've seen it. So Rosalind, tell us, was there another chapter in the book that really resonated with you?
Oh my gosh, yes. I actually did this person's peer review, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is already done. Bruno is Morgante?
Morgante, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It was, he did it on
Fantozzi?
Fantozzi?
I'm trying, Fantozzi, I don't know.
Tempted. And oh man, not only was that chapter just beautifully written, it was so it was so, I felt like I got to know him through through reading the chapter, and I just wanted to know him more. And it just brought you through everything, like talking about the focus was having a positive attitude or dealing with the changes of bad things like continuously happening in a project, or in this scenario, this accountant. And so it personally resonated of like, keep upbeat, keep a good attitude. And also, so in my personal life and also in project management, which we all know it always coincides. So I was like, and it was funny and poignant at the same time. And then, so yeah, I really loved that chapter. And I'm still going through some of the other ones. I'm trying to watch these movies that are being presented that I've never seen Fantozzi. So, and excited to like watch it as well.
Yeah, and that's a plug for Jana to drop the IMDb link in the chat when she gets a chance again, because it's a great way to kind of check off the list, watching all these movies and checking the chapters out. Yeah,
they're so good though, all of them. As I go through, I'm just the different lessons. The hot takes are such a beautiful ad. Even like pulling those out and just reading them as I was going, I was like, these are really gems that we've come up with and are sharing with each other in the world. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, most people haven't seen Fantozzi, but it's absolutely iconic in Italy, which is so it's great. It's a great culture lesson.
Yeah, and it's a beautifully written chapter. So thanks for the shout out for Bruno on another movie that we would not have seen, without you guys bringing them to us with your passion and your lessons from them. So Rosalin, would you like to help us introduce our last co-author for the finale episode, the finale of the finale?
And absolutely.
Awesome. Yes, he is the co-author for and the movie inspired from him is Top Gun from, believe it or not, 1986. He's an experienced management consultant specializing in program management and human performance. For the last 20 years, he's helped clients systematically understand and execute their work by establishing clear outcomes, processes, responsibilities, and decision-making. Before entering corporate America, he served as a U.S. Naval flight officer, flying the F-14 Tomcat, so he's the real Maverick, and later became a flight instructor, earning Instructor of the Year honors. Today, he brings his leadership expertise to organizations across industries, including energy, pharmaceuticals, retail, engineering, and transportation. Let's give a warm Projectland welcome to the real Maverick, the actual Top Gun, Dave Lozinger.
Hello.
Dave, Rosalin.
I'm just happy to be here.
Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Rosalin, you take me back to junior high and gym shorts and a reversible black and orange shirt and high tops.
That is a perfect picture. I appreciate that.
And that was a magical time back then, though, in the 80s.
You are a true flyer. Like, that is amazing. It's an absolute pleasure to meet
my pleasure. Yeah.
you. Yes. Wonderful chapter, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish as with all things, when age comes along, I wish I appreciated and understood it as well as I do now, what I had back then. So, nice. Whippersnappers, appreciate what you got now.
Speaking of whippersnappers, Rosalin, thank you so much for joining us. You were wonderful today. Have a great rest of your day, dear. Thank you. Bye for now. Awesome. So, Dave, thanks for hanging on.
My pleasure.
You're the finale of the finale. So, and you also were the final chapter 22 in the book. So, why did you respond to the author casting call? And as Jerry said, he begged some people. I might have begged you a little bit. But.
A little bit, yeah, but not too much. I think everybody's got a book in their head that they want to write. The trouble is having the time and the ability to write it. I remember when I was heavy into project work, you'd have these little lessons that you'd learn, or these instances. You're like, hey, I can make a case study out of this. So I would write me these little emails and say, don't forget about this thing that happened. And then you make sure you write it up while it's still fresh in your mind. And of course, it never happens. So I probably got 3 dozen of these things in email boxes over the years, from Proton to Gmail to everything. So I got to look them up sometime. But working with you on your first Projectland book, and then when I really saw what it was like, and I was like, oh man, there's a lot more to this than one might think. But you gave me this opportunity to write one chapter and to really fine tune things. So I took it.
Nice. Yeah. You got a taste of what it's like to.
Oh, it's harder. It's harder than you think. And I remember looking back and reading the chapter now, I see how much more succinct, terse, effective it is than when I wrote. I think the first draft was probably 3 times as long and had a lot of nonsense in there I didn't need. Writing is a process, and I know Jerry knows that, and you both know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's where just like in the movies, like Haukur, talked about, we talked about it with his movie being brand new and his daughter having to check it. I mean, stuff ends up on the editing floor, and it did for all the authors, and me included, where we, Jerry and I had to check ourselves as well on what makes the most sense, what is in service of the reader. And that's what we were trying to do. So that's it. Thanks for that acknowledgement. And so you chose Top Gun, and there are so many lessons in this movie. I mean, you lived Top Gun. You've done the work. You've been the pilot, the fighter pilot. So I'm so glad that you responded to my begging and wrote about it. But what's amazing is I'm like, okay, I knew in my heart and my soul that you, Dave, had to write about Top Gun, but I had no idea what you were going to bring to the table, because there's so many lessons there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So which one did you choose for your lesson?
It's funny. I think if it had to do with complexity and complication, you're hearing a lot about that in the last probably 2 or 3 years. That started maybe 10 years ago with VUCA. I don't know if you remember, VUCA became a thing. And the idea was that people were acknowledging that there are systemic aspects to how we work and how well we do, and where things get off track and what we have to deal with. And I think the story of Top Gun is one that manages both. So some definitions real quick. So we've got complication and then complexity. Most of the time we think of them interchangeably, or we use them interchangeably. In this case, we're talking about complication, which is how ornate, sophisticated something is. And you can think of, everything from a Swiss watch on one end all the way down to a sundial, and you have certain levels of complication in there. Something can be very complicated, but it's also predictable. So just because something's complicated doesn't mean we can't tackle it or master it. The corollary of that then is complexity, which is when some of the knowns and unknowns change unexpectedly, the circumstances change. The few people before us talked about, you wake up one day and you didn't expect to deal with something. That's complexity. So I think the question is, and this is where it's relevant to project management, is you have a project or an outcome or some system or something you're putting in place that has a certain level of complication to it, right? And you could think of, I can do an oil change at home. My buddy can probably do like change an engine, but if I really need to do something serious, I got to take it into the shop. So there's different levels of complication of what I'm able to do. So I think the first thing that's important is to make sure that when you're planning your project, you know how complicated this thing is, how sophisticated is it, how many interlocking parts are there, right? We talk about cross-functional and integrations and dependencies in that. And you need a team and resources that are proficient at that level.
Yeah. And so many times the executives are like, oh, it's simple.
And it's absolutely simple. And one of those, like you and I have talked before about this, about, when you talk about any capability that's going into an organization, there's 3 main components: people, process, and technology. And all too often recently, especially in this age of software as a service, and there's 8 million vendors and apps, that types of thing, that are attempting to simplify something. The leadership or someone will say, hey, I saw this app, it makes everything so simple. So you'll take this tool that is assuming that what the business does is either less complicated than it probably is. Now, in a lot of cases, most organizations aren't nearly as efficient or optimized as they ought to be, right? So there certainly is that component. But it wouldn't be the first time where a tool has been put in place, or a tool has been assumed that we're going to use this, and then in the meantime, the organization has to scramble to figure out what it is they do today in the first place, and then make that line up to the tool. So I think that's
just skip current state altogether and just be like, just go, just start using the tool, which doesn't always work out so well.
Oh, absolutely. And that mindset of, hey, well, let's just do what we do today, and we'll figure it out and add it from there.
Yeah, and replicate it in the tool.
Absolutely. And until you get to and I'm not even talking edge cases. I'm talking like a lot of time, like think of a business unit that's got, people with 4 different languages, 4 different regulatory environments, that type of thing. Like, that's actually pretty complicated.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Now when you put in one tool, most of the time, and that's the other thing too, that the tool, when you have to talk about a tool, it's usually assuming that there's one standard. So that process of what really needs to be standardized, what's federated, what's local, that type of thing, that's typically more complicated than we give it credit for. And
you're making a great point about assumptions. I mean, and the assumptions that get made, and one of them being that, the tool will fix all our problems. But let's get back to your hot take. So just want to share Dave's hot take was a game plan is a necessity for any project to be successful. I think we might all agree with that here in Projectland. Not something that everyone agrees with, but we here in Projectland, I think most of us would agree, a game plan is a necessity for any project to be successful. But when the situation is uncertain, complex, or untested, team members need to communicate with each other often, deliberately, and unambiguously. And I just love that. So how has that showed up for you in Projectland?
Yeah, so this trend over the last couple of years of low code, no code software. If you remember, not too long ago, it used to be that when you were creating an application, you always had dedicated IT people that would take care of everything under the hood. And then, of course, we had business analysts that would understand what the business wanted and make that happen. The implication there is that all that technical work has a certain complication to it, that things have to line up just right. You've got databases that have to talk to each other. You've got configure all this technical stuff that's actually quite complicated. So as we move towards low code, no code, and this idea of an egalitarian new environment where anybody can create websites, create apps, create learning management, whatever it is, we can bypass IT, and we can put the business folks in there. I think that assumption is sometimes and often pretty inadequate. And what I mean by that is we're still dealing with a technical solution. It still has configuration. And many times we're talking about combining different data sources, databases, all that type of thing. And this is where it gets complex, because some of these things have to be connected in certain ways. Sometimes we're copying things over. And there have been a number of instances in the last few years where I've done these things, and we think we've got it all figured out. Then we start getting ready to turn things on and transfer things over, and we realize this doesn't work how we expected it to. Or if we transfer something over, we may rewrite something. Bottom line is all these complications are not quite understood, or that there's constraints to them that we don't understand. So that's where the complexity comes in. And I think of my last big project, we actually nearly had that instance where we were copying something over, and then we realized at the last second, if we copied it too soon, it would have rewritten everything else with no backup. So that's where complexity and complication meet. So once again, you need a team with the resources that understand and can manage, the complication of the work. How sophisticated is it? And then even as you progress, as you execute, now day to day, you're looking at complexity and changes and things that are unexpected, and then making sure that everyone A, sees them the same, B, understands them, and then C, that you've got a game plan that everyone agrees to it.
Yeah. So what's interesting in the movies, right, is okay, you're taking Top Gun. People expect a trained fighter pilot is going to be in the cockpit. That's a really good assumption to make, that only a trained fighter pilot will be in the cockpit. But in business, it's like, hey, are you available? Why don't you do this thing? And and they're not trained. They're not ready for Projectland. They have no idea. Meanwhile, they have a day job. They're not comfortable or confident, and they're expected to be successful. And it's terrible. It's a terrible situation to put people in. I see it all the time. I'm sure.
The other thing is you see a lot of is in handoffs and things like that. If people aren't able to speak the shorthand and have the camaraderie and it's so many things that fall between the cracks.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and in today's let me add one more thing on to Jerry's point. In today's agile world, things change so quickly that we don't have time to either document them or understand them before we move on to the next thing too. So a lot of times, even if you wanted to understand something, sometimes you have to go back to the source. You have to go to the person or the vendor, whoever it is, and find things out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in the scene you chose in the movie, the dogfight scene at the end, where they really have to communicate and so forth. They're already trained. They're out of school. This is real now. So what happens there that you want to help make sure we understand?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is to realize that there were 24 Tomcats on that boat. So they probably would have had more than 2 airborne with one on the ready alert. So forget that part. But assuming that they sent two planes out and then they had one in the backup, I think the first question there is making sure we understand that there's always going to be assumptions on how complicated and the level of complexity we expect to see on certain things. So when you resource your project and you're staffing it up and you're identifying who needs to be on it and what skills they need and behaviors and expertise, all that kind of thing. There's obviously some assumptions there about complication and complexity, and you may need to adjust those over time. The second piece is then, well, as we get into it, there may be things that we didn't anticipate, and that's what happens when they actually launch and they realize there's more than 2 bogies, it's 3, 4, 5, and the situation they got into. In which case, now you need some real-time communication, make sure everybody's on the same page. And one of the things to help ensure that you've got good communication is to make sure you're succinct. You've got calm brevity, right? Everyone's talking about simply the important things and making sure that everyone is equally understood.
Yeah. And I, when things are so fast moving in a project or in life, what's your advice for us when things are fast moving like that?
Yeah, fast moving. I taught this when I was an instructor. I write about this in the book where you'd have a young student, you're going up, you're doing some flights and you got to go around the pattern, that type of thing. And they'll make this long call. I want to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to go do this, and then we're going to double this long thing. And then you get the best air traffic controllers in the world are down there in flight school in Pensacola because they hear all these students all the time and they can decipher what they're looking to say. And then the air traffic controller will come back and say, okay, you want 2 touch and goes and then a full stop. Bottom line is the student is speaking with verbs and actions and all kind of extraneous details that the controller doesn't need to know. The controller comes back with basically nouns, 2 touch and goes, and then 1 full stop. So when you get into these areas where you need you're trying to thread the needle, and there's a lot of moving parts, you're trying to figure out who's doing what when. I've found that the best way to help it make sure everyone's on the same page is to simplify as much as you can. So concentrate on the nouns. What are the what's that we're going to have to deal with? So we need to do a transfer or a copy, just what's the outcome, what's the noun, what's the thing that we have to do. And if you do that, it's assumed then that there's all these activities you have to do to get that done, of course. But I think it's one way to make sure that we, abbreviate the amount of comms out there that we have, that everyone understands them because it's less ambiguous, right? I always talk about, one of the worst things that'll kill a project is ambiguity. Or conversely, the best way to be a good communicator is to speak unambiguously. So you can't be misunderstood, even if somebody wanted to.
Yeah, it's so hard to do too, which is, part of the editing process when you get to write it in a book. But when you're in live, it's a big challenge. So I love that, to focus on the nouns and the what and versus all the how-tos, because also, who cares sometimes how you get it done, as long as you get it done and deliver the thing.
Because it'll always get done. Absolutely. I don't need to know that how you're doing it.
Keeping a project plan high level, with deliverable based WBS and work packages and milestones, and just keep out a lot of the noise, which can be handled offline.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we have lots of different versions of these things, to make communication a little bit easier depending on the audience, and to make things clear. So last question for you, Dave, for today. Was there another chapter in the book that resonated with you?
Yeah, there are actually 3 of them. Two of them one was The Great Escape, and then the second one is Ocean's 11. And I think what had both of those in common were the fact that when I talked earlier about a capability having people, process, and technology.
Sure.
And all too often the technology is the thing that comes first these days. Both those movies were all about identifying the people and the process that is their expertise. So when George Clooney was getting the people together in the room, when they're bringing those people in the room for Ocean's 11, and then the same thing for The Great Escape, right? All those people were brought in because of what they knew or what they could do, right? The tools came afterwards. Now contrast that with Apollo 13. Apollo 13, you already had the crew in place that had that expertise, but then things went haywire. So now, guess what happens? Now you got to take these tools that you already have existing, and you got to figure out how to discombobulate them so they can do the process and the roles that you need. And if anything will help demonstrate why you need to have the tools last, it's Apollo 13. Because the entire movie is, how do we take these tools that don't do what we need to do and try to make them do what we need them to do?
Yeah, the square peg, round hole, and we have a sock up in space, and fix it.
So it's a great movie. It's a great story, but you don't want that on your project.
No, you don't. But in the end, it was all about the people coming together and making it happen, which was also a lot about what we all love to talk about, which is set the desired outcome. You're Mr. Desired Outcome, Dave.
It's all about the desired outcome.
All the time, hammering what is the desired outcome, making sure that is very clear, and then making sure we have the right people and the right projects at the right time, which is Jerry's jam with resource management. And I just hope that a lot of what we're talking about today and what you share, Dave, in your chapter is that the people side really comes out, and that we don't forget to take care of our people in Projectland. So I want to
proficiency. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Any final last words, Dave, for today?
No, I'm just happy to be here.
Well, thank you, the real Maverick, everybody. Let's thank Dave Lozinger for being with us today, author, co-author, and Top Gun expert in so many ways. Thanks for being with us today, Dave. You're the best.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Hey, Dave.
Bye. And so, Jerry, here we are at the finale of the finale with our wonderful guests today, Cornelius, co-authors, Dr. Haukur, Rosalin, Dr. Mark, Rosalin, and the real Maverick. I can't believe we had both Rosalins, and Rosalin on the same show.
I kept getting them mixed up during the editing process.
I love them both so much. And so thanks everybody for sharing your behind the scenes insights today. And I want to thank you for hanging on with us for the finale of Projectland Goes to the Movie series, where you got to meet all of our authors and learn the pro tips and behind the scenes stories straight from them. And if you missed any of the other episodes, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or you missed a little sum of 5 here, don't worry. They're going to be all available here on LinkedIn, as well as on our YouTube channel, which is PMOtraining. So check that out. It's in a playlist all to itself. And you can also see and meet some of our authors in little 1-minute clips where they talk about their hot take. And we're very brave to get in front of the camera as well. So remember to grab your copy of Projectland Goes to the Movies. If you already have it, please, please, please share an honest review on the platform where you purchased it. So you don't have to read the whole book to share a review, even checking out one chapter, maybe one you heard about today or a movie that you really love. Check that out. And please, mention something honest about the book, and so that other people can understand that this is a book that might help them discover it and help them join us here in Projectland, where we care very much about the people side of projects. And we hope that today's show inspired you to make your next project a blockbuster hit. I want you to join next month for our resource management deep dive with the author of a resource management book that's been used all over the world and in universities as well, because it is all about the people. And Jerry's going to share his symptoms quiz to see if you can determine if you have a resource management problem, and if so, how bad is it? Along with tips for project managers and PMO leaders. So Jerry, I can't wait to do that with you next month in July. So stay tuned, everybody, for the RSVP link to come out. And you can also join our VIP list, of course, to make sure that you get on the list for upcoming shows, other events and so forth, maybe even get invited to Iceland, thanks to Dr. Haukur's generous offer there. So join us, get on our newsletter. That's our VIP list for our next event and so forth. Go to PMOtraining.com/contact-us and to get on that list and make sure that you get invited to our next event as well. Jerry, any final words for today?
Yeah, this was great, a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to next month. And I think we need to do another round maybe one of these days.
Yeah. It was so wonderful to have all of our authors on stage over the past 6 months, and I hope that this has helped